I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where I was going, and I've told all my family this. I was most scared I've probably ever been in my life. Up until then, I was at home with my siblings, with my mom, and she didn't give me any information on where I was going, what was going on.
Now Collin is finally setting the record straight. He is revealing his truth about his mother, Kate Gosselin. What secrets has he unearthed? And how will these claims reshape our view of one of television's most famous families? The secret struggle of Collin Gosselin. For years, Americans watched the show captivated by the chaotic life. The family included twins Maddie and Kara, alongside sextuplets Alexis Hannah, Aiden, Leah Joel, and Collin. Viewers saw a house filled with strict schedules, constant work, and the reality of raising 8 kids. Kate was the tough but dedicated mother. That was the image projected to millions. Screen presence is one thing, reality is another. Behind the polished episodes, things were complicated. One child felt different. Collin stood out because he was curious and questioned everything. What looked like independence to some, Kate reportedly saw as defiance. While his siblings faced minor discipline, Collin often seemed to draw a harsher line. It became obvious. He was not treated like the others. Instead of a member of the team, he was treated like a problem to be fixed. The gap only widened over the years. On camera, Kate was the tireless mother. Behind the scenes, Collin was the kid she could not handle. Eventually, the tension snapped. Kate made a move that would change his life forever. She found a way to remove him from the picture. Now Collin is sharing his side. On August 7th, a TikTok post stunned longtime followers. He shared an old photo of the kids. The family looked united, a team. He wrote that they were born to be a team, us against the world. But then he shared a recent photo of himself alone in a car. He wrote that he was forced to do it alone, wondering what their lives could have been. In the caption, he spoke of being forced apart and pitted against one another. He questioned if the fame was worth it, asking what about kids just being kids. His words describe a childhood built on public attention and growing distance. Yet his love for his siblings is clear. He said he loves them more than anything. He confessed to shedding tears behind closed doors over memories they missed. In the comments, he gave a glimpse into his life today. He mentioned seeing his sister Hannah that day to help with her car. He called her funny and said he loves her so much. Sadly, he remains distant from the rest of his brothers and sisters. According to Collin, this isolation was never his choice. It was the result of deep family issues that stayed hidden for far too long. What if the image we bought into was just a facade? What if the truth changes everything we thought we knew? Let us look deeper at the truth behind the Gosselin dynamic. Reality television is an illusion. What we see on screen is not the whole story. It is a crafted edit designed for ratings. Few understood this better than Kate Gosselin. To the world, she was the hardworking mom keeping order in a wild home. She was famous for being demanding and always in control. It was a carefully crafted narrative built to sell a compelling story. Few really grasped the power of controlling that image quite like Kate Gosselin. To the public, she seemed a tireless mom doing her absolute best to raise 8 kids while managing a loud and chaotic home. She was infamous for being... She was strict yet clearly devoted to her family. Kate claimed her discipline helped the children thrive. But Collin Gosselin remembers things differently. He says life at home was about control, not order. From a young age, Collin was curious and outspoken. He constantly questioned things that felt unfair. While his siblings mostly followed the rules, Collin pushed back. And his mother did not like that. At first, the tension showed in small ways, sharper words, less patience. Then the punishments intensified. Over time, he felt completely isolated. He wasn't just being disciplined, he was being pushed away. Even his siblings began to treat him like an outsider. Was it fear or belief? It didn't matter. Collin was labeled the difficult one, the kid who ruined their perfect televised image. Then he simply started to vanish. Fewer episodes, fewer photos. Soon, he was completely out of sight. Kate claimed his special needs were too much for home. She said a facility was best. At the time, viewers believed her. Years later, however, Collin finally shared his own side. He says his removal wasn't about getting help, it was about protecting the family brand. He alleges real mistreatment, emotional abuse, even periods of total crushing isolation. In interviews, Collin described being kept apart from the family. He claimed a locked room in the basement. It was an unfinished space where he spent long, lonely stretches. According to Collin, this started when he was only 8 or 9 years old. By age 12, he says he had been separated from his siblings for a long time. He remembers just one visit from Kate. During that time, he says she blamed him for damaging the family. In later social media posts, Collin reflected on that life. He called it a television circus. He felt that fame and money were placed far above the well-being of the children. He spoke of a divided family. Siblings turned against one another by the pressure of it all. Still, Collin expressed love for his brothers and sisters. He wants a different future for himself. He hopes to raise his own children to stay close no matter what happens. For years, the public only knew Kate's version. Collin's story has changed everything for the audience. It is important to remember that these claims are disputed. The family remains deeply divided. So how did a perfectly controlled image manage to hide such a dark reality? And what happens when the next secret eventually comes to light? Let's dig deeper into the story of Collin Gosselin and the silence he faced. Most children see home as a sanctuary, a place to be heard, seen, and loved. For Collin, it was the exact opposite. Home felt cold. It felt like a trap. His words were met with harshness. His own mother labeled him the difficult child. Once that label stuck, nothing he did could ever seem to fix it. Quietly, things got much worse. The punishments grew longer and much more severe. Kate's tone hardened. Affection vanished. The emotional chasm became impossible to ignore. Siblings followed their mother's lead, some out of fear, some out of simple habit. The bond between the Gosselin kids shattered, leaving Collin stranded and alone. Then, without any real warning, he was sent away for good. In 2016, at only 12 years old, Kate moved him to the Fairmount Behavioral Health Institute. Located in Philadelphia, it was a psychiatric facility. She claimed she simply could not manage his needs. Kate turned cold and slowly pulled her affection back. A deep emotional distance grew, one that became impossible to ignore. His own siblings began treating him differently, mirroring their mother, out of fear or habit. The bond between the children fractured, and Collin found himself pushed further to the edge. Then, without any warning, he was sent away. In 2016, at only 12 years old, Kate placed him in the Fairmount Behavioral Health Institute, a psychiatric facility in Philadelphia. She told the public he had special needs and required professional help she could no longer provide at home. She called his condition vague and said the decision was meant for the good of the entire family. To many viewers, it sounded like a painful but responsible move by a struggling mother. But Collin tells a very different story that changes everything. Years later, on the Vice TV show Dark Side of the 2000s, he said he had told teachers about problems at home. He described his mother's behavior as abusive and claimed that once she realized he was speaking out, she sent him away to silence him. He alleged that she had to put him somewhere where he could not get the secrets out. Life inside that facility, according to his accounts, was neither healing nor supportive. Instead, it felt like total isolation. He was cut off from the outside world, received no letters or regular visits, and felt like nobody was fighting for him. Even during a rare visit from Kate, he says she told him he deserved to be there because he had destroyed the family. Later, his sister Hannah, one of the sextuplets, publicly stated that their mother treated Collin differently, backing his claims that he was singled out. During those long months, Collin held on to the hope that someone still cared. He kept believing someone would eventually come for him. And when he finally got the chance to reach beyond the walls that kept him quiet, he contacted the one person he knew had never stopped looking. Now, with a single message shared with the world, will it heal a broken family or ignite a storm that nobody can control? Let us take a closer look at the Gosselin family custody battle. For nearly 10 years, the public story regarding the Gosselin family was tightly managed, on television and in the media. Kate's version of events was the only one heard. She appeared as a strong single mother doing everything for her kids, while Jon was painted as a father who abandoned his family. But Jon says the reality was quite different. He maintains he never walked away from his children. Instead, he lost custody in a brutal legal fight where Kate's fame and public image helped her secure full control. After that, Jon was pushed out of his children's daily lives and kept away from major decisions. He could only watch from afar as they grew up under Kate's iron rules. Still, he never stopped worrying about Collin. Jon had noticed clear differences in how Kate treated that boy. Collin was naturally curious and independent traits Jon viewed as positive. But in Kate's home, those same traits looked like disobedience and resulted in strict punishment. Jon later learned that Kate had sent Collin away. The special needs explanation felt wrong to him. She gave no specifics, did not include him in the decision, and blocked him from any contact. With no legal power at the time, Jon was left scared and confused, having no idea what was happening to his son. The truth emerged in 2018, not through the media, but through a handwritten note in crayon. It simply read, "Dad, please come get me." Collin had been stuck in the Fairmount Behavioral Health Institute in Philadelphia for years without any support. Later, Collin told Vice TV it was a dark period of his life. The days felt empty and he felt completely alone. "All I had was myself," he said. "I did not have anybody else." For Jon, the letter was a breaking point. He felt it proved his son had been hidden away while a fake story played out in public. Soon after, in November 2018, he went to court to gain custody of Collin. He eventually gained custody of Hannah as, well, it was the first major crack in the public image Kate had built for years. For Jon, it was the beginning of trying to fix years of silence and forced separation. For Collin, it was finally someone answering his desperate plea. But just when it seemed the truth, a new leak surfaced, bringing a fresh revelation that threatened to blow the whole thing wide open. What happens when the final secret hits the light? Can this family drama ever be resolved? Let us see. Collin sent a desperate plea. The letter from Collin hit Jon Gosselin like a total shock. It was a cry for help that pierced through years of silence and media scrutiny. In that instant, everything else, the custody wars, the headlines labeling him an absentee dad, and the old wounds just faded away. Only one thing mattered, his son. Collin reached out. His message was desperate. He was being held at Fairmount Behavioral Health Institute in Philadelphia, cut off from the world, and from the father who was fighting to help him. Jon knew exactly what he had to do, bring his son home. It was not that simple. Kate held full custody. Taking Collin without legal backing meant real trouble. She insisted these choices were in his best interest. She stood by her decision to commit him. She held on to the same narrative she had always fed the public. For Jon, this was more than a fatherly instinct. It was a massive legal brawl. Challenging her claims meant risking a reputation that was already taking hits. Still, leaving Collin isolated and unheard was not an option. He moved quickly. He hired lawyers. He tracked down allies and dragged the situation into the light. In interviews, he finally spoke up. He described a boy cast aside by his own blood. He argued that choices about Collin should never happen without him. His son's life could no longer be buried under managed public statements. The public took sides. Some saw Jon as a father battling a rigged system. Others stuck to the version Kate had sold them for years, seeing her moves as necessary. Regardless, Jon was dismantling the image Kate had spent a decade polishing. Then Collin began to speak for himself. He shared how constant cameras ruined their family dynamic. He felt the fame pulled them apart, leaving zero room for real human connection. Being locked away as a teenager finally shattered his fragile bond with his mother. Then 2018 changed the game. Kate and her team missed a court date. Custody was handed to Jon. That same year, Hannah joined her brother at his home. Collin admitted that losing his mother was brutal, but he still held on to a shred of hope. For now, he was focused on his own life. No more hiding, no more silence. What happens when deep secrets crash into a mother's silence? Could the truth rewrite everything? Let us look at what happened next. Rebuilding the pieces. When the court moved Collin to Jon Gosselin's home, it was not the perfect reunion. The legal fight stopped. The emotional work was just beginning. Kate's anger remained in the shadows, quiet, but always there. Collin stepped into a world that felt both familiar and alien. The home felt different after his time at Fairmount Behavioral Health Institute. Those years had left a mark. He did not come back with a smile. He moved like a ghost through the house. He barely spoke. He stayed behind closed doors, avoiding eye contact as if connection was too much to handle. The pain was invisible, but it was crushing, built on fear and broken trust. It clung to him. Jon did not have a manual for healing this kind of hurt. He was just determined to make his son feel safe. He did not force a conversation. Instead, he focused on the basics: quiet meals, simple presence, proving to Collin that he was never alone again. This patience was the start. But the tension went beyond father and son. Collin's siblings had grown up hearing that he was just a difficult kid. Facing this new reality left them shaken. Their talks were polite but stiff. Everyone was walking on eggshells. The tension in the house was thick. What is your take on the claims Collin Gosselin made about his mother, Kate Gosselin? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button and follow for more.